Okay, now this is the third video for this learning module, and as promised, here we're going to talk about firm value. When you start a company or when a firm is started, who puts in the investment for this? Naturally, it is your shareholders, what we call equity, right? And you have your bank loan, which we call debt. Now, let's say we started a company with $10 million equity and $10 million debt. And initially, this company was worth $20 million, right? And then the business did very well, and now this company is worth $30 million. But the bank loan is not going to change. Bank loan will remain at what it is original. So the difference between the worth of the company, which is 30, and the bank loan, which is 10, is now 20. So the shareholders who had started this company for $10 million now can say our company is worth $20 million. So the shareholders, what they have is equity, and whatever is the value of the company, that is equal to equity and the present value of the debt. And why we are saying present value? Because this loan might be plus interest, it might be going up to 12 million. So what you need to know is what is the present value of that loan right now. So initially the company was worth 20 million, equity was worth 10, and present value of the loan was 10. But then the company went up to 30, which means if the loan stays at 10, your equity goes up to 20. So this is the first relationship that we need to digest this equation, that the value of a firm is equal to its value of equity plus the present value of its debt. And we are assuming that the value of debt is shown with this amount of D, which is the face value of a, let's say it has borrowed in the form of a zero coupon bond, and that debt amount is shown by D, and they have to pay this back. So let's say they might be paying back 12 million, but the present value of that is 10 million. So the value of a firm is equal to the value of equity plus the present value of debt. Now, how does this tie in with the rest of the material? So first we have to understand that there can be two possible outcomes or two scenarios. One outcome where the value of the firm exceeds the value of the debt, that the company value goes up to 30 million or 20 million, which is greater than the value of the loan or the debt, which is 10 million. So in that case, what the shareholders are left with is a good amount of money, because if the value of the firm, which is VT, is equal to 30 million and the debt is 10 million, then the shareholders, they get a nice $20 million, right? So in this situation where the value of the firm is greater than that of the debt amount, after paying what is owed to the debt holders, the shareholders receive the remaining amount, which can be very good for them. However, if the company goes bankrupt, it goes insolvent, which means the value of the firm even falls below what the debt holders want. So let's say the value of the firm goes to $5 million, God forbid, and you have to pay back the bank loan of 10 million, then naturally, obviously, nothing will be left for the shareholders. Even the bank will not get full money back, right? So only if the value of the firm is greater than the debt amount will the shareholders get something. Otherwise, they will receive nothing back, and their investment in the company will become zero. Therefore, we can say the payoff for the shareholders is maximum of either zero or the difference between the value of the firm minus the debt value. So let's say this is the value of the firm, and if it goes up a lot, right, let's say this is $10 million and this is $20 million, So if the value of the firm goes from 10 to 20 and the value of your debt is 10 million, so anything beyond this will be value to equity holders or shareholders, because anything above the value of debt will be coming to the shareholders, or it will be zero. So it is either going to be zero or more than zero. So this is the payoff for equity holders, that it's going to be either zero or the difference between the value and debt. If obviously naturally if the value is more than the debt, then this will be positive. So whichever is greater, either this or zero. Right now, here is the complicated part, that how do we show this payoff as options, whereas the payoff for the shareholder is maximum of 0 or V minus D, and the payoff for the debt holder is minimum of these two, which means either they will get their total debt back or the value, which if it is less than the debt even. So let's say their debt is 10 million, so they will either get their 10 million back, or if the value of the firm falls to below 10 million, if it falls to 5 million, then they will not even get their 10 million back, because the company is not worth that much anymore. They will only get 5 million back. So as you can see over here, where when we talk about your payoff to the equity holder, we are talking about maximum of these two, that either they will get nothing or they will get something which could be as high as infinity if the value of the firm keeps going up, right? So the payoff to the shareholder can be as high as infinity or as low as zero, but for the bond holder the payoff is capped at their debt amount, which is 10 million, or it can go as low as zero if the value of the firm falls below this 10 million and keeps falling, right? So the debt holder will either get zero or maximum of 10 million, whichever is lesser, and the shareholder will either get zero or sky is the limit, whichever is greater. So it's maximum for the shareholder, minimum for the bond holder. So if I draw the diagram for the bond holder, it will look like they have maximum profitability possible payback, which is the debt level, and if the firm value starts falling below that, then they will have a lesser amount coming back to them, and the minimum they can get back is also zero, that they will lose all their money. Now this is what the payoff for the equity holder looks like, this is what the payoff for the bond holder looks like, and if we kind of put this together in terms of options, then this looks like a call option, right? That there's a payoff of up to infinity and there is no loss possibility. So we can say the shareholders have purchased a call option on the firm's assets with an exercise price of D, and which is this is D, so that if the firm value goes above D, then there is a unlimited payoff, and below that their profit or loss is zero. This is one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is that the shareholders have a long position in the underlying firm's assets, which basically means they've bought the firm and at the same time they've got a put option. So if the firm value goes up, they benefit from it because they have the firm, they've bought the asset, and if it goes down, they have a put option, so their loss is limited. So they have a long position in the firm's assets, which is the value of the firm, and they have got a put option of the firm at the exercise price of D. So in case if it falls below D, their loss is limited. So we can replicate the equity shareholder payoff with these two option positions, and as far as the debt holder is concerned, it's like they have got a long position in a risk-free bond with D. So their payoff over here is maximum capped at D, because this is the investment they have done in a risk-free bond which pays D, and they have sold a put option, which means if the value falls down, they are going to lose money, and if it falls down below D, and that is why you see it going down over here, because they have a short position on a put option, which will create a loss for them if this goes down. Now, I know this is a little complicated concept, and therefore we've got this infographic to help you digest it again. Now, the top part over here is for the equity, and the bottom part here is for the debt holders, and this is what the payoff for the equity holder looks like, that it is 0 and then it is positive if it is going above the debt amount. And how that is happening, how it is coming to look like this is, first, let's say they've gone long the firm's assets. So if the firm's assets are going up, they are benefiting. If they are going down, they are losing. But at the same time, they've purchased a put option with the exercise or the strike rate of D, which means if the value goes below D, then this put option is in the money and it will give money to you. So this part and this part, they cancel each other off, and that is why you get this flat line over here. And then the top part is there, which in the end gives you this payoff for the equity holder, which is the combination of a long on the firm's assets and a put option on the firm with a exercise or a strike price of D, right? And in terms of the debt, the payoff looks like this, where it is capped at the debt amount and then it comes down if the value of the firm goes down. And why it looks like this is because you've got a long risk-free debt which is giving you this D amount, but that is fine. But over here we can see it's falling, and the reason for this falling is that they've also sold a put option which causes this loss, and that is why when this is combined with this, you get this, which is the debt holder payoff, right? So what we are basically saying over here, that the shareholders have got a long position on the firm's assets and they have also purchased a put option, whereas the debt holders, they have sold a put option and they have got this risk-free bond, which is the risk-free bond that we usually write like this, where there is a price and we take the discounted value of that price. And if we put all this together in terms of the put call parity, where we had the fiduciary call is equal to the protective put, right? And the fiduciary call is basically the call option and the present value of a zero coupon bond. So this side is the fiduciary call, and the protective put is the asset with the put option. So this side is the protective put, right? And now what they are doing is that they are replacing the stock price, which is this, with the value of the firm, and they are replacing the exercise price or the strike price with the value of the debt. So what we are basically saying over here is that instead of saying we are going long the stock, we are saying we are going long the firm with a put option. So this is the equity side of things, that they are going long the firm with a put option. And on the other side, we've got the debt side of things, where we've got the risk-free asset with a strike price of D, with a face value of D, and a short position in a put option or a long position in a call option. So this is the debt side of things. And what they have done is that they have made the value of the firm the subject of the equation, whereby they have said that the value of the firm is equal to, number one, the call option, which you see over here, plus the present value of the debt, plus the minus the put option, because this becomes negative when it comes on the other side. So, and they have sold a put option, so negative sign is there for the put option. So the value of the firm is equal to call option plus the present value of debt minus the put option, and this is your put option put call parity application for firm value. Now let's look at a summary for this learning module. We've got the put call parity, which is basically a fiduciary call is equal to a protective put, and a fiduciary call is a call option plus a risk-free bond with a face value equal to the strike rate of this call option and of this put option, which brings me to the put option side, which is the protective put, which is a put option plus the long position on the stock or the asset, if it is maybe gold or whatever the asset is, right? So you have a long position in the asset plus a put option, and a long position in a call option plus a zero coupon bond with the face value which is the same as the strike price for both these options, long call and long put. The second learning outcome is the put call forward parity, and what we discussed over here is that the part of the protective put was made into a synthetic protective put, where instead of taking the long asset we replace that with a long forward and a risk-free bond. The long put is still there, but the long asset was replaced by the long forward and a risk-free bond. And why that is because we said that if you buy an asset and you sell a forward, then what you earn is the risk-free rate or a risk-free bond, right? So we said since a stock is equal minus a forward is equal to a risk-free bond, therefore a stock is equal to a forward plus a risk-free bond, and therefore we replaced a stock with a forward and a risk-free bond over here, and this is what we call a synthetic protective put, which is showing 0 for a forward because the value at initiation for a forward is 0. It doesn't require any investment. However, the risk-free bond will require an investment. It's going to pay this F amount, which is the forward price amount, at face value at maturity, but we don't have to invest that right now. We have to discount it back to today to calculate exactly how much we have to invest. That is why you see it is divided by 1 plus r to the power t, and you add it to the value of the put, and this equals to a fiduciary call, which is the call option plus the risk-free bond with the face value of X, which is the strike price for both these long call and long put options. Now the last part which we talked about in this video is the application of put call parity to the value of a firm, where we have established that the value of a firm is equal to the value of a call option plus the present value of debt minus the value of a put option. And that is it for this learning module.